Welcome all to my garden ideas tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm basically going to teach you how to do all of these cool things and even a little bit more that I don't exactly fit in this garden, but it's a really cool design method and really cool ideas you guys can do, and you guys can make a really cool beautiful garden. So let's get to it. Alright, so the first thing people usually don't do is this sort of bush. You put a fence down and then you put any type of leaf on top of it, and it really does look good, and it looks like it's just growing up and it's a really cool bush. And then of course we have the classic bush. These can go really great around houses, up against them and whatnot. I would go up to 3 high. 4 may look a little bit funny, and definitely the lowest could be 1. It'd have a thicker trunk or something, but I mean you could probably get away with 4, but I'd recommend only going to 3. The next is bone meal. Now, bone meal, when you click on grass, will create sort of, a natural appearance of how grass and flowers would grow, and it's really, really great because it can add a base that you can add all of those things on top of. And again, I'll show you how to combine all these in a moment. The next definitely has to be a fence tree. So you just, place fence in sort of a random pattern, and then you can just kind of place any type of leaf. I think for the trees, I like to usually use oak. And you just place it everywhere a fence is visible, and of course you don't place it on bottom, but everywhere it's visible from the top and whatnot, you just place it, and you get a really nice cool looking tree. And those go well inside of a garden or whatever, and make sure you don't miss any spots. But yeah, I really like the way these look. Something that can also look really cool that a lot of people already use, but if you guys don't use it, it's pretty cool to learn, is putting wool sort of laced in between the grass. It can just give you a unique look to your yards or gardens. Of course you cannot plant on that, or you can use green stained clay and it looks something like this. I mean they all look really good, but you guys can just experiment with that, and you could only plant on the grass, so it wouldn't be super viable if you were just gonna have a solid plant sort of area. But yeah, I really like those. And if you have them, all of these new things such as the rose bush, large fern, peony, lilac, and double tall grass can look really good. I know some consoles do not have them right now, but regardless of the rain, they do look really good, and you can add them to your bone meal base just to add some variation. And I'm not exactly sure why I even have to explain this, but flowers can be used for pretty much anything. I don't even think if I go F1 my shadow is still there. Flowers can just be used in your bone meal base. Some flowers will not grow in the bone meal, but again, you can use them and whatnot. So, if you guys already know that, sorry, but some people just don't even realize you can use flowers in landscaping and gardens, and they look really good. So, alright, next idea. So, something that can add a little bit of depth to your gardens is having a second layer with, some slabs outlining it, and if, you wanted to be even more clean with it, you could do that, but I really like the way the single slab looks. You can kind of see the grass and everything. You can put some special things up there and whatnot, and yeah, those look really cool. If you guys also have this block, it's called podzol. It looks really great. You can kind of replace some of the area, and maybe you could section it off like this. And I really like the way the podzol looks inside of a garden. It looks like a bunch of leaves have dropped. So maybe you could do some heavy, just like a lot of stuff in here, and it looks like the leaves have dropped. And I don't know. I really like the way it looks. It kind of blends well with anything really, and yeah. And also, believe it or not, putting wheat in your yard, with some water, of course, will look really good. It looks like, just another texture. And especially around podzol, if you can grab some podzol, if you have it. Unfortunately, if you don't, you can't do this. But if you put it around it, it kind of, blends with the brown. And, it really looks kind of cool. And, you can kind of layer some grass maybe in there, just to give kind of a tattered look or something. And, it looks really cool. Another really cool idea you guys can do is sort of a fallen over oak tree, or a jungle tree like this. They look really nice. Put some tattered leaves around so it looks like it fell over. And how you make it give the illusion that it fell over is by placing one of the blocks up and then the rest next to it all on their side, so that it kind of looks like it falls. And then you can just place some vines on it and whatnot. Add some leaves. And yeah, it goes kind of well in a garden. Maybe you could save that for like the side of your house if it's a little bit plain and you need something cool. But yeah, I really like the way those look. A really cool sort of tree you can make right here is just by putting some trapdoors on a piece of grass, and then adding 2 fence and some jungle wood and jungle leaves, not jungle wood, fences, and they can look really cool. You can put these on the inside too. Maybe make them a little bit smaller And yeah, they really fit well in an interior and exterior setting, and I really like the way they look. You know, I mean, they look cool. Another really cool thing you can do is, you know, just dig out sort of an area and fill it with water, and doing a pond, you know, is something really great, and you can make it even greater by, you know, maybe having a path that goes up to it that, you know, water flows, I don't know, you know, something like a, you know how like on the side of a fancy house there would be, you know, some water or something, and it would, you know, come out of here, you know, give the illusion it was coming out, and, you know, do something cool like that. You know, you could put some bamboo around it, some sugar cane, you know, all that fancy stuff, and, you know, it looked really cool basically. So I like to do those in my gardens, so yeah. And something really cool you could do is, you know, place some cobblestone walls on top of each other. So here I started out with doing 1, and then I went up 2 like that, and then 3, and then I took some stone slabs and I basically just connected them like this, and, you know, did that all the way up, and it looks really cool if you're going for maybe more of a Zen garden-y look. It, you know, really looks, you know, sort of, I mean, it could fit rustic, it could fit modern, Asian, all of those build styles, and I really like the way they look. Not really even sure what you'd call it, you know, just sort of a arch type thing. Another little cool something you could do, and again with shaders it's not looking correct, but you could put some slabs with water and then maybe a lily pad above them, and, you know, you could, you know, definitely expand it out like this. And, you know, of course it might break the lily pad, but, you know, do that, and then just have, like, you know, a bunch, you know, facing different directions and whatnot. I clearly did not know. Oh, okay. And, you know, you can put glowstone under them so you can kind of light it up, and that would look really nice. You know, with shaders, of course, it's not looking too great, but if I made it, you know, night time set night, you know, it would kind of look cool. You know, I don't know, it doesn't really look correct with shade. If I turned off shaders, you see it'd be at the top, and, you know, maybe it doesn't look super cool, but I kind of like the way it looks. You know, I'm different. Okay. Yeah. See, there you go. Now it looks really cool. And another something a little, you know, cool you could do is a little bench, you know, with some fences going up, and, you know, that's the roof design if you guys want to pause and build that real quick. And, you know, I just put a little plant here. I think it looks nice, and yeah, you guys can sit here, and, you know, I could sit here and talk to you guys all day, but I'm not gonna, because I have to do more garden ideas. And something I'm kind of confused at how people miss is you can place a torch directly on a fence and make really nice, you know, tiki torches, and, you know, that would obviously be a tiki torch, and you can do really nice, you know, torches, and you can have, you know, maybe a gravel path. And, you know, I'm just kind of experimenting here. You could just do a gravel path or something. You know, you could put something over here, but I mean, I don't know. It just seems like something, you know, that's so simple yet so many people miss out on. And, you know, it's just a fence and a torch. I can't really explain it much more. And something else, you know, that I personally have not used very much, and a lot of people don't even know about, is if you take iron bars and place them like this, you can, yes, do sort of a you know, a gate pattern like that, and you can do a really cool entrance to maybe a, you know, a more rustic-ish area with some stone brick in your garden or something. Personally, I don't think that would fit very well with my usage, but you guys may use it. And combining all of those things, we now have a really beautiful garden. This is not the best one, but I'm sure you guys are a lot better than me at building them. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to see more content from me. I try to upload daily tutorials. I love doing them. They're so fun for you guys. And yeah, I really hope to see you guys in my other videos. Leave a like, post your pics of this on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter, links are in the description. You guys can follow me there. Just tweet me your pics of this build. I'd really like you guys to do that. Like, seriously, if you have a Twitter, like right now, you should follow me. Like, seriously, guys, I love seeing you guys on Twitter. And, you know, you can post your pics of your builds from my channel on Twitter, and then I can retweet them and all that fancy stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.